Me, a bro.
Yep.
He, a dude.
That's good stuff. All right. Let's try it. Okay. Welcome to the We Will Journey podcast. We're talking about faith and life as it happens, and not the glossy exterior we wish it was. What, man? What did I do wrong?
No, I think you said it's because all the things I was thinking about before. But we can edit that. You got that part good.
Oh.
You got it good. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay, just...
Now it's your turn.
Good?
Yeah.
Wait. We're going to get under the surface. I should have said all those things before. We should have waited down and dirty until after we read this part.
Okay.
Okay. Wait. We get under the surface and explore the down and dirty. Okay. Maybe we should. It doesn't have to be word for word, right?
No. I mean, I gave an interpretation.
Okay. All right. We get under the surface and explore the down and dirty of life as it pertains to our beliefs, our relationships, politics, and absolutely everything else.
Oh, there we go. That was good. All right.
When I'm dead, laying in my coffin, all my friends all gather round. They can say I'm just sleeping, good Lord, the sweet peace I have found.
3, 2, 1.
Well, hello, Seth.
Hi, Mr. Technical Difficulties.
Yes, I am having technical difficulties today. I'm not for sure what's going on, and it's still not normal, but we'll go with it. We'll try this, and hope we can edit back down to where we need to be. But
It's not like anything that we do is normal, to be honest.
I know nothing's ever perfect, is it? It's just always kind of
It's called
relatively
sanctification
good. Yeah.
of podcasting.
Yeah, I was actually thinking today, as I was just kind of getting ready for us to talk, we should do a podcast on how to podcast really cheaply, because that's what we've done. we've not put a lot of money into anything we've done, and I feel like considering that, we've done a relatively good job. It's not super high quality like some podcasts, but it's not awful either. So
Exactly. It's somewhere in that general vicinity between awful and super high quality.
right, it's like average. It's average. So, but
And we're just a couple of guys that are average looking, so it kind of fits our...
We're pretty average dudes when it all comes right down to it. So maybe our audio quality and production quality is fitting for who and what we are. Speaking of average dudes, Conan O'Brien, his show, I think, is coming to a close. Is it this week that he's going to be done, or was it last week already?
I have actually no idea. I heard months ago that was kind of a thought. Oh, you're just his television show, right? Because he's doing more with podcasting and stuff,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, he does podcasting. He has his YouTube channel, and then he's doing a show on HBO Max.
Okay, so like the basic same concept, basically, just a new platform, or
it's like a weekly variety show or something. So it's just going to be once a week instead of every night. Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, but you and I, we both love Conan. Your brother loves Conan. Are you laughing about my child? Can you hear?
I hear some.
Can you
shuffling.
hear the sounds he's making in the? Yeah.
Do you have like a pool table
just,
or like a shuffleboard thing in your living room or something? He's like,
I do not.
He's playing disc golf in your house, or maybe air hockey.
No. Cade, you're not playing disc golf or hockey, are you?
What?
Huh? He just said what? Like an annoyed what? Yeah. We have a teenager, you know. So now you get some of these responses that are a little attitudey from time to time. Yeah.
Snapping fingers.
But what?
Yes, these days.
Yeah.
Oh, it's summer. It's summer. They're enjoying the advantage of summer and getting to play air hockey inside because it's no school.
He's actually on his way to a mowing job. So, no rest for the weary.
That's what a young teenage boy should be doing in the summer, right?
A young whippersnapper. So, yeah. The boys are doing a really good job. They've got a little mowing business going. This is their second year. And they're actually picking up quite a bit of work this year. So it's a little crazy, actually. They have to kind of shuffle things around to get everything done.
Pretty soon, they're going to be having a nicer car and house than you. You know what I'm saying? All these... You're going to be asking them for a little cash.
That's right.
Hey, we used to do this allowance thing, but thinking maybe we could do a little bit of the opposite.
Yeah, help mom and dad out, man. So, yep. It's a real thing. They have fewer expenses than we do, that's for sure. So, I remember those days when you got a paycheck. And you're like, all of this money is mine. I have nothing to spend it on. Like, I can just do whatever I want with it. And I didn't have a car payment. I didn't have utility bills. I didn't have a mortgage. I didn't have children to feed and clothe.
It's probably good that you didn't.
It was just whatever I wanted to do with it. You know, it's like, man, here's like $500. Now what?
I bought an iPod with my first paycheck, and that was like all my money.
Yeah. But it didn't matter. It's like, I've got nothing else to spend this on. I've got food, a place to live. Yeah. We kind of started making them pay for gas and some of their supplies this year. Yeah. So it wasn't quite so lucrative for them. But, yeah.
Mooching off mom and dad, those days are over.
That's right. We also made them start paying a little rent. I'm kidding. You know, we just had Father's Day. Not to quickly change the subject, but I'm looking at some of my Father's Day gifts.
Oh, wow.
And
gifts, plural.
I have... Oh, yeah. Yeah, the boys took some initiative this year and wanted to, pony up something for old Dad. And so I have some Father's Day gifts.
Did they get you an actual pony? Because that'd be a really amazing gift.
No. So in our basement, I have a little workshop area, right? So I have a little bench with a vise on it and some tools down there. Not a lot. It's actually more of my gun room, where I clean guns and do different things like that. But there's also some other tools in there, and the boys often will go down there and you'll just hear a bunch of banging and sawing, and the room right above it is where Natalie and I like to sit and talk quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
And so we just can hear all of this banging and stuff happening, and she's like, what's going on? I'm just like, well, they're just building something down there, who knows. But anyway, so for Father's Day, the little dudes, they wanted to do something, and so it was pretty exciting for them. But I've got some pretty funny Father's Day gifts, and the funniest one, Cade just gave me cash. he made me a really pretty card. He drew a card and gave me cash, which, cash is always, that's always a nice gift.
We weren't even kidding about that, them starting to support you financially. And
yeah. Well, I want a new pair of flip-flops. And so the primary gift this year was cash for my new pair of flip-flops. So, but because I want like some running, hiking type flip-flops. They're not just your average, $5 flip-flops from Walmart.
So like Dolce and Gabbana or something like that.
They're called Luna. They're called Luna. They're like running flip-flops.
Made
they
out
make
of
them for like
crocodile.
runners, and they're actually recycled tires.
Oh.
Yeah.
You could have just taken some tires and made flip-flops out of them.
I've seen people do that. I've seen people do that. But the little two made their own gift out of wood. And Henry made me something real cute. It was like a wood block, like 2 wood blocks glued together with kind of another wood block to prop it up,
nice.
So it can sit on the shelf. And he drew a little picture on there. But Avery, he made me more of a like frame with a little shelf on it for a beetle.
A beetle.
He found a beetle while he was mowing that he thought looked really cool, and so he made this like little wood structure with a shelf on it, and then he glued the beetle to the shelf.
Okay, so it was dead.
So it's dead, and or at least it is now.
Died of glue poisoning.
I don't know if it was dead when he found it or not, but anyway, so I have a little wood frame with a shelf on it with a beetle glued to it. It's like a really big beetle, and it's kind of pretty. It has like a lot of green and purple and in it, and so anyways,
that's legit.
It is totally legit.
Right
yeah,
there.
It's very. Yeah, so it's kind of cute and creative. It's fun to see what the kiddos come up with for some of these things.
Next year they'll have to build the shelf for you to put all of their knickknacks on.
Well, I have it above the wood stove right now on the shelf. So,
okay,
yeah, it's kind of funny. Yeah, they all have something represented up there right now, including my wife. My wife has like a art quilt that she made, and then Henry and Avery both have their wood thing, and then Henry made something in school, so he also has that displayed there. Cade's maybe the only one that doesn't have something up there right now.
And what's your contribution? The last cup from Austria that didn't explode or break?
No, we've got my contribution, I would say, is this crocodile head that Natalie and I bought. It's carved out of driftwood. We bought it in South Dakota at Reptile Gardens. And so it'd be I didn't make it, but Natalie and I bought it. And it's pretty cool. So you've seen it, right?
I'm sure I have.
You've seen the crocodile head?
I'm sure I have.
Yeah. It's fun.
It's
a little fun thing.
It's exciting now. You gotta watch out.
Yeah. Yep. So I did have something I
Besides
wanted to talk about
the
today.
wooden crocodile head, or
besides the crocodile head or the beetle that's glued to a piece of wood, I had a little something. I'm reading a book right now, which I know is not unusual. I guess we talk about a lot of books. And
real
stuff,
quick, I'm gonna go shut the door,
Um,
so I'm gonna get up for a second because a bunch of people are about to arrive.
We'll wait for you.
So it could be that the background noise is gonna start pumping up. we'll see. We'll see.
Cool. I think that was a good podcasting moment where we waited for you to shut your door. I could hear your footsteps.
It would have been
that was kind of
probably would have been better, right, if I would have left it, and then you hear a bunch of screaming kids in the background, and my wife telling them to be quiet, and then I get up and slam the door.
Mark it off out there. Yeah.
Email. That's right, I said email. Seems like everybody's got one these days, even us. So if you want to get in contact with us or chat about the weather, you can shoot us an email at wewilljourney.connect@gmail.com. Look forward to hearing from you or reading from you.
Well, we're reading a book in church right now. It's called Building Missionaries. It's by this pastor out of Pittsburgh. His name's Glenn Hanna. And in this book, he was talking about self-awareness and recommended another book by Dr. Rob Reimer. So I bought the other book, and it's called Soul Care.
And he recommended.
And he recommended.
Don't read books.
So I've been reading. Yeah. So anyways, I started reading this book called Soul Care this week, and it's a really it's intense, because it has, he wants you to work through he just wants you to work through your life a little bit so you kind of understand yourself. And we did a lot of this in chaplaincy this last year too. So I've been doing a lot of this recently. But I think that maybe to some extent he even takes it to another level. So you just shut your door. I'm going to grab my iPad real quick. So hang on.
I like how we synchronize that perfectly.
Yes. So anyways, I'll give you an example here. As soon as I should have grabbed my iPad before, but I forgot to.
That's okay.
Which is fine. I mean, that's one of the qualities of our podcast, right? Is that we don't think ahead.
If we thought ahead, it would just be...
It would ruin it.
It'd be too polished.
It would ruin everything.
For my taste.
That's right. So just to give you an example here, so there's some questions that he wants you to work through at the end of this chapter. He says, spend time alone with God and journal. Ask the Holy Spirit to reveal to you the lies that affect you. Which of these three lies, and the three lies are, let me click on it here real quick.
Suspense is killing me.
I know, right? The lie of performance, and the lie of having control, and the lie of being liked. So he says, which of these three lies impacts your life the most? And for me, it's being liked by others. I like to be liked, and so anything that I feel like causes issues with that, causes a lot of internal turmoil in my mind. Then he says, how do they manifest? What makes you feel most vulnerable? What image of yourself are you most attached to? What are you most proud of? What are you most defensive about? How do you use these things to fend off your feelings of vulnerability? So that's the first set of questions. And then he the next set, he says, fill in the blank. The issue of my value is dependent on something. Okay. How do you value yourself? Are there any specific memories connected to those lies? How do those lies manifest themselves in your life? What do you feel when you're standing on this faulty foundation? And what do you say to yourself? What are the imaginary conversations you have in your mind? And what are the symptomatic expressions of this lie in your life? And how does it manifest? And then he goes on to tell you to put your lies into a sentence and come up with a truth slogan or a scripture to replace each lie. And then he says, do you struggle with an identity wound or a bent will? Do you know why? How does it manifest itself in your life? This was just chapter 1. Yeah, I know, right? Before all this, there were some other questions that he wanted to have answers to. Not that I'm replying to him with my responses.
You didn't send him a letter with?
I didn't email it to him, but these are interesting. What family slogans do you remember, either spoken or unspoken? So there's like recurring family themes that were kind of told to you. And what are the shaping experiences of your life? Pay special attention to repeated experiences because lies often get reinforced here. And he also says, what are the things you catch yourself saying to yourself?
Catch yourself saying to yourself.
Yeah, saying to yourself.
You handsome dog.
You handsome devil. Anyways, it's interesting stuff to kind of, work through. I actually spent a little time yesterday working through these questions before I moved on to chapter 2.
I feel like you or one of us should be laying on a couch during this conversation.
We should be. It's taxing. Actually, I found myself, a little bit spent, after going through all of that. I was kind of emotionally drained. It was definitely, a time for sports talk radio after that. So it's like I don't want to have to think anymore.
Right. So the lie in this case would be you thinking that others liking you is going to make you fulfilled, basically. That's the lie.
Well, so the lie, I guess you have to kind of put it in perspective with, he talks about the fact that we find our value through Christ's sacrifice on the cross, right? So we find our value through God's eyes. And the way God sees us and the way we see us is sometimes totally different. And so we are valued by God, and it's evidenced through Christ's sacrifice on the cross for us, right? And so based on our experiences and our families and all these different things, we start to navigate our life away from that truth. And we start to believe other things that other people and other experiences kind of cause us to believe about ourselves. And so what he's wanting you to do here is kind of unpack all of the things that we all internally tell ourselves, like on a regular basis, or we believe to be true about ourselves because of past experiences and what we've been told. And so just like one example he gave is somebody that in their family, every time they messed up, it wasn't that anybody really said anything, but their dad would just kind of give them a disapproving look and shake his head, So they kind of felt like a failure. It was just kind of a common theme that they grew up with, and they kind of internalized that, and because of that experience would kind of tell themselves on a regular basis, I'm a failure. There's just all these little things that we have, and I've got my own stuff too that I, tried to kind of journal through a little bit yesterday and acknowledge, there's definitely things that I have in my life too. An interesting story that I had from chaplaincy was not my own or even one of my peers, but just another person that went through the class at some point in time. But they had like this experience with their father growing up, where they would have to help their dad drive when they were really little because of a health condition that he had.
Okay.
And so like just in case something happened, they had to always be ready to help out their dad. And so like that caused a little bit of trauma in this person's life. And when they were in the emergency room in traumatic situations trying to minister, they would get really anxious and nervous and just all these things. And the whole thing would kind of fall apart on them. And they're able to kind of trace it back to like, oh, you know, at some point in time you learned, you know, to feel this way in this situation, and it kind of ties back to this other thing. So, but anyways, it's some healthy work, but I know a lot of people are uncomfortable. Matter of fact, I just heard this recently, as I was talking about kind of, because we're going through this book, it does talk about being self-aware and kind of unpacking our past just a little bit. A lot of Christians aren't really comfortable doing that. Have you encountered that?
Not really comfortable in like getting counseled and looking back, or just personally looking back at hurts and reasoning for why the way, you know, we are the way we are. Kind of that kind of intense.
I've just it's basically like kind of a Christian ideology, I guess. But, you know, post-salvation, we're new, right? We're made new in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people take that to mean we shouldn't reflect on our past. And, you know, don't dwell on your past. And, you know, if you were made new, then why bother thinking about your past at all? So, now the only problem with that is that there is an element of that is true. We've been given spiritual birth, right? Rebirth or new. We've been given a new spiritual life. Okay, we once were dead, we're made alive in Christ. We have a newness in spirit. But it doesn't take away all the stuff that has happened to us, right? Like that's our physical life, and there is a realness to all of that. And regardless of your new spiritual life, your physical life is going to impact your life going forward, even though there's been this rebirth experience. Like, you know, it still impacts how you act and the things you think and the things you do. So, yeah. So it's interesting. There is a resistance for a lot of Christians to really kind of take a look back and unpack some things from their life and understand why they do what they do, or why they think the way they think, or, you know, those kind of things.
Yeah, no, I think I definitely see that. My experience also, because I just am one and spend a lot more time with other men, is that, like, especially my Christian guy friends, probably, yeah, it's a typical, like, you know, manly man and not wanting to think or show weakness, right? Where I think some people, myself included, would probably benefit from kind of going back and working through some stuff, because you kind of, you know, when you're around someone and you kind of see, or I pick up on a lot of times, like, people's maybe insecurities or their hurt or whatever that they're maybe not showing, but you kind of see it, if that makes sense. And maybe I pick up on it sometimes because I've also struggled in those areas of insecurity and wanting people to like me and stuff. But then, like, if you try to approach that or ask about something, then it's immediately just like, oh no, I'm good, I'm fine. And obviously it's not just not just a male thing, but those are the people that that I spend a lot more time with. I think, I don't know. Yeah, there's kind of a tightrope between dwelling in the past and not being able to, for example, as a Christian, not be able to help others because you're held back by your own issues.
Are you digging our theme music? Well, we dig it too. You can check out more Jane Gilman music at our website, janegilman.com, or you can download some of her music to your playlist on iTunes. That's GILLMAN.
And
Yeah.
and then there's the other side of like, okay, recognizing I'm weak, and kind of maybe discovering why that is, where this weakness comes from, and then working through it in a way that you're able to help others because of your weakness or because of your experience. Because I think you can get paralyzed by a struggle or paralyzed by something you've gone through and you're like so afraid that it's going to happen again, that you might live in a shell or something. Whereas it's so powerful, right? That weakness, that experience, whatever, everyone has them. I think we all have them in order to be able to help others. I think it's the part of the beauty in the body of Christ is not only our strengths, but also our weaknesses. And us being weak and us being open about our struggles allows Christ, I think, to be strong, and use that. Whereas if we kind of pretend to be strong in the areas where we're weak, then that doesn't really help anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a big difference, I guess, between living in the past and acknowledging the past, right? And I think that's what this book is trying to help you do, is try to acknowledge the past and then work through it and understand it a little better, understand why we do some of the things that we do. Especially the unhealthy stuff that we do.
Yeah.
Like the things that cause problems in relationships, and the things that, why is it that you run away from conflict? For instance, like if that's something that you have a tendency to do on a regular basis, it might be good to understand why it is that you do that and understand that you do it. Some people don't want to acknowledge that they do it, if that's something they struggle with. But yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting to me as I kind of unpack my own life a little bit and some of those experiences that have shaped me and impacted me positively and negatively.
Yeah, so, and don't we need each other so much in that as well? Because I feel like it's kind of... I mean, if you're just waiting around to the point where you're going to find out on your own that, you have this issue, or, maybe there's a reason why, for example, you're insecure, or, for me, wanting to be liked by everyone, rather than just thinking, oh, eventually I'll figure it out, it helps to have people, it helps to have people around you to be like, hey, I've noticed this about you, or someone who's, wise enough, or even, having this conversation, but someone who says, hey, have you ever thought about your life, your upbringing, your past, and what could have led to this? And, we could also have some more boldness probably in our close relationships to speak to people about it, because it's also that tightrope thing of accepting someone for who they are, but at the same time seeing maybe someone's struggles or weaknesses and wanting to help them discover why or how to get better.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Yeah.
I had a friend tell me who is a pastor that in a church that he pastored in, people said that he didn't share enough about himself. And so he tried sharing more about himself, and then people told him he shared too much about himself. So he said, you know, it's kind of like this I can't win type thing. And, you know, there's obviously like an appropriate context for sharing certain details about our lives, and we need to be with a group of people that we can trust, for one. But yeah, it's, you know, there's these things that happen in our lives, and so yeah, we try to maybe work through and be open and transparent, and then somebody shuts us down and says, no, we don't want that. So that creates like this new experience, you know, around this very thing that you're trying to work on. And yeah, so it sounds like the kids are
They're
there.
back. I hear them. I can't.
They're
You
back.
probably even hear them. You might hear them better than I can because I have these headphones on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go here
But,
soon and get supper together.
And B.
Yeah,
That's fine.
But no, I was
That's
gonna
fine,
say,
but-
yeah, I actually just talked to a pastor a few days ago and shared a very similar thing about like, yeah, I mean, on the one hand, the hope is that you can be transparent with your congregation, but on the other hand, is that really what they want? You know, or and some people do. You know, I went to a church we went to for a few years in Kansas. That was the culture of that church, and it needed that.
Right.
You know, in order for the kind of people that, you know, we were as a congregation to feel well there, not well, what's the word in English? To feel accepted and feel loved there. It was like you needed that also coming from the pulpit, someone who was being open and honest. But a lot of church cultures, if you don't have that, then it could be just kind of awkward, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe some churches, I think definitely some churches need more of that, and it kind of pushing the church forward and getting to a place of awkwardness in order to grow, even if that means some people moving on and be like, oh, we don't feel comfortable about people talking about their issues. We're going to go over here where there's more of a concert, chill atmosphere.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, you know, people that don't feel comfortable with that are typically people that aren't comfortable with their own
baggage,
past and their own issues. Yeah, and they don't want to really deal with any of that. And so, anyways, and that's not healthy, obviously. So, anyways, but it's a great book, Soul Care. I just got started with it by Dr. Rob.
Does it have a
Reimer.
picture of a shoe on the front?
I don't think it has a shoe. Let me look here.
That just sounds like a orthopedic kind of some kind of insole.
It has a picture of a candle, and does not pick up on the orthopedic vibe. So
okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Double innuendo, or what do you say? Double two-edged sword.
Two-edged sword.
My shoe insole is also a bit of you into your soul. Soul Care, brought to you by Dr. Fauci.
Scholes.
Dr. Scholes.
Dr. Scholes.
That's what I mean. Dr. Fauci is the only doctor I know anymore. And Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil's still out there.
Dr. Fauci and Dr. Phil.
Who else is there? Dr. Oz.
Oh yeah, there's Dr. Oz too.
Dr. Kevorkian.
Oprah. Isn't Oprah a
Dr.
doctor by now? I would
Kevorkian?
assume Yeah, he was famous for a while. I would think Oprah's
She's a doctor?
got her doctorate in something now.
She just
No,
looks like a
she's
doctor
not.
because she wears her glasses and kind of looks at people with a discerning
Yes. I know all about you.
Deepest inner thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to we should do an interview with Oprah, actually. That would be fascinating, just to know, like, does anybody ever interview Oprah and ask her, like, what kind of things in your past have shaped you to be the woman you are today?
Yeah. I feel like we have a shot at that. Oprah, we need to set our sights a little higher.
Higher than Oprah?
We need to upgrade our podcasting equipment before we get to Oprah?
You think that's what's holding us back right now?
You think our lack of expensive podcasting equipment? I don't know. I don't
know if that's the thing that's holding us back.
I'm gonna have my people reach out to Oprah's people and just see what happens.
I would be down for it for sure. I could definitely imagine making time for that, sometime when we're in the States. If it works out, if my schedule works out, and your schedule works out, and her schedule works out, So, yeah.
With Oprah's schedule.
I mean? But actually, I'm pretty sure, isn't she just like chilling on a ranch and she does an interview like once a year that has like 10 billion views and then she goes back to chilling?
I don't know. She's probably got some free
That's what I'm
time,
saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, the only time you hear about her is if she has an interview with a prince or a president or the musician Prince, maybe. Back when he was R.I.P. Prince.
She's at a high level, and so she probably needs people like at a low level like us to interview her now.
That's kind of that's how you get your big start, right? My favorite is like, I don't know if you've ever seen the like clips on YouTube and stuff where someone interviews a really famous person, but they don't know they're famous. Like they're like just a local reporter, and they interview someone who like witnessed a car crash or whatever, and it's like the same famous celebrity, but they have no idea. That's
where would you go from Oprah though? I don't even know where you would go. Like what's the step up from Oprah?
The Pope, I'm pretty sure, is still...
The Pope is still kind of the big
I would
deal,
think so. I mean, for a lot of the world, yeah. Who else you got up there? You got... Oh, if we could get Kim from North Korea. Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un.
Him or Putin, those guys would be up there.
Chilling with Putin. That could be
Taylor
our
Swift,
podcast. Maybe? Oh, Taylor Swift. There you go. Yeah, she's definitely more.
I mean,
famous
obviously
than Oprah.
Jordan or LeBron James. Those two.
That seems like a lower level. Taylor Swift. Oh yeah, I definitely think Oprah and Taylor Swift are over LeBron James or Michael Jordan. Yeah.
Oprah, maybe Oprah, but
Oprah.
I think
she's got some bucks,
Jordan's over the billion, and Michael. I know LeBron was about to hit a billion.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see. Once we talk to them, then we can kind of judge for ourselves. I would say, depending on how many views we get. You know what I mean? You can compare, obviously, afterwards, like how many views did we get for Taylor Swift compared to MJ.
So somebody paid, Natalie and I went out for lunch the other day, and somebody paid for our meal, and I kind of sarcastically, said out loud, "Thank you, Oprah."
Okay. But she wasn't.
Wherever you are, paying it forward.
Haven't you? But we laugh about it. But isn't there that thing where the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever, that game, that 6 degrees,
6 degrees,
7 degrees,
6?
whatever. But I think that's actually a real thing, also in real life, where basically you're only like that many. It's something like that. 7 degrees away from basically any like person.
Yeah, I think it is 6 degrees, but so we need to figure out our connection to Oprah. How are we connected to Oprah?
I know people in Chicago.
We know somebody, and that person knows somebody, and that person knows somebody.
Hey guys, it's Seth. Some of you might be wondering, I wish there was a way to follow these guys and what they're up to. Well, I don't know if you heard about a little thing called the internet. That's right. If you check us out at twitter.com/WeWillJourney1, you'll be able to keep updated on what we're up to and maybe some future interviews or projects we're working on. Catch you later.
And that person knows somebody that knows Oprah.
Like, for example, I think I would be two or 3 degrees away from the Prime Minister of Austria, for example, because I know someone who knows him. And
Okay.
the Prime Minister of Austria has met with the U.S. President. The U.S. President has obviously something to do with Oprah because she's like in that club.
So you're like 4 degrees away from Biden? Is that what
Oprah,
you're
I'm
or
saying,
Trump?
because Biden knows Oprah. So we just skip over Biden.
Okay.
Go straight to Oprah.
So we need to go to the Austrian Prime
Yep.
Minister, is what you're saying, to get to Biden, and then go to Biden to get to Oprah. So how would Biden feel about skipping wanting to interview him just so we could interview Oprah?
I don't know if he cares. He's confident enough. He's had enough life experience that he's like, you know what? I would be glad to just have a break from an interview.
Hey, President Biden, we really want to interview Oprah.
You
Can
happen
you
to
give
have
us a
Oprah's phone number? Actually, you know whose number Oprah, just to close up this whole thing, you know whose number Oprah would have? Mr. Conan
Whose?
O'Brien.
Conan O'Brien, and that's how we got the Conan.
Conan is probably
That's
the
how we did
closest
it.
because the thing that I enjoy most watching from Conan is he goes to countries around the world. Have you watched any of those? That's
Yes,
the best,
those
right?
are
I mean, I don't know.
hilarious.
I don't know
Yeah.
if he's been to Austria before, and
Yeah.
I've seen some of the ones where literally he'll just like go into a famous city, and he just hangs out with random people,
Yeah.
whoever is there. So we just
Mm-hmm.
find out whenever he's going to finally come to Austria, and then because he usually announces it,
Right.
at least he used to always announce it way in advance, so everybody would know he's coming. And then we just go there, and
Yeah.
then Conan's interviewed all the presidents basically, and Oprah, and so on and so forth. Man,
Yeah.
we are on a roll. I think we're so close. We're definitely closer than we
We are.
started talking about this.
Yeah. You know what would be funny is to go through a lot of really, really famous people to get to somebody that's not famous.
There's this guy who worked at the post
You know,
office in Washington,
so-
D.C. in 1978.
Make it so ridiculously difficult to get to somebody that you could have literally just called and said, "Hey, you want to be on our podcast?"
Have Oprah call her uncle.
Hey, Uncle Ted. These guys would like to have you on their podcast.
I wanna meet more famous people just to have normal conversations with them because I think that's what I hear all the time in interviews. Is they feel
Yeah.
strange, like we were talking about insecure, right? They like just always feel like this, like everyone's observing them,
Yeah.
and they're a thing in a museum, and it'd be fun just to have like really famous people and just like treat them like dirt. No, not like dirt, but treat them like regular, and just like, because I don't feel like I'm someone who gets like super impressed by someone's accolades. I don't know that you would be either.
I don't know. Just depends on who it is.
True. Oprah, it sounds like you would get cold feet and sweaty hands.
You think I would get like little tingly chills or something?
Miss Oprah, hi.
She's not
She is-
married. You
well,
can't call
okay,
her Mrs.
She's common law.
No,
married.
she's never been
with that
married.
dude forever.
Yeah,
I don't
but she's
know.
not
Maybe
married.
she's not married, but
Not
she's married. You know what I mean?
I don't think she would. I don't think she would acknowledge
Life
that.
partner,
I think
her
she
life
would say
partner.
she's
I don't think she
single.
would say she's single.
Yeah.
That dude is famous.
No, I'm not saying she'd say she was single, but I don't think she would.
Oh, we
She
have
would be
so many
offended
questions.
by Mrs.
Real quick,
Mrs.
most
Yeah.
famous person as we end
Yeah.
this. Most famous person that you have had like a conversation with, like actual conversation, not just an autograph.
Bethany Hamilton.
Oh, okay. Former surfer or current surfer, probably. and evangelist kind of.
Yes. Yes, my friend's wife, her brother married Bethany.
Friend's wife, her brother. She knows famous people. Bethany Hamilton. I know she was on a lot of big time interview shows and stuff like that.
Yep. She's been interviewed by probably been interviewed by Oprah.
My gosh, why didn't you say this before?
There's our connection to
well, why don't
Oprah
we
right there.
interview Bethany Hamilton first? You know her too well.
Speaking of people you treat like dirt, right?
She has an interesting. I talked to John Foreman once after a concert for a while as singer of Switchfoot. He's maybe not. He's famous. Well, actually, they are worldwide known because they have concerts all over the world.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Talked to him for a while after a concert with my brother-in-law. That was cool. And other than that, I saw Stephen Baldwin, but I didn't talk to him.
And he knew Trump. So,
And Trump knows Oprah, obviously. I think they were really tight before all this stuff happened. At some point, all those rich 1%ers. I mean, actually, 1% of 1%ers. Well, I think this is a really, really great, deep conversation.
We did. I tried to take it down a deep path. That obviously didn't work.
It did, actually. I think
I don't know.
The middle section, I was thinking pretty deep about the stuff we were getting into. Yeah.
Well, if you're listening and you're wanting to do a little self-awareness work in your life and, deepen your walk
turn off this
with
podcast.
God, and then I guess turn this podcast off immediately.
Oh.
And buy the book Soul Care by Dr. Rob Reimer with a candle on it and nothing to do with shoes.
Oh my goodness, I think that's how this started, was doctors. That's how we jumped into the famous.
Yeah.
Wow. Because I heard you say doctor again and it started thinking.
I made a sarcastic comment saying Oprah has to be a doctor by now. So
I am actually. This has kind of made me motivated just to see if I can get connected to some famous people, just to kind of see what they're all about.
Just for the heck of it?
It's just nice to just...
All right, let's see.
I like being curious. I'm trying to be more and more curious and talking to different people from different areas of life and finding out what they do.
Well, maybe that's our documentary. Maybe our documentary is trying to connect ourselves to somebody like Oprah.
Isn't that what Borat did?
In the process. I don't know. Is it?
First one he was trying to connect it. Anyways.
Yeah.
Not that I would.
Well, we could try it. We could see how it works. But I could see us that would be our documentary. That feels.
It reminds me of somebody who was just telling me recently, because we were talking about these TikTok and Instagram and YouTube stars and stuff. How people who are nobody can just become somebody. And I guess there's these guys that did this challenge where they went to some random country and tried to see how fast they could become famous.
Oh yeah, and
it did work, but I was skeptical because I thought, if you're actually that famous, even if you go to some random country, everybody has the internet. You know what I mean? Even if they say oh no, they don't, they speak a different language and they don't know me or whatever. There's got to be, everybody. People can listen to our thing in Antarctica. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It is interesting. I'm always fascinated by the countries. People, just knowing, there's people in Russia that have listened to our podcast. That's a... Yeah, I know, but that is an interesting thing, my word, a few, not a lot, I'm not saying a lot of people, it may just be one person in Russia, I have no idea, has listened to this podcast. That's kind of a weird, little thought. It's interesting.
That's the 6 degrees of Putin.
Yeah, there we go, 6 degrees of Putin. So maybe that's the person we need to find, that person in Russia that listens to our podcast.
We'll either find him or Oprah, one of the two. But I need to go find some food to rustle together for my family.
That sounds good.
And our extra kids that were taken care of for the night. So
Wonderful.
It was great to talk to you.
All right, go help. Yep, good talking to you too.
Top of the morning to you, Tyler.
My laddie. So, all right. God bless you. In your food cooking and appeasing small children.
Cooking for children can be difficult, especially when they're not your own
yes,
children.
it can. Oh yeah. I don't eat this. I don't like this.
Filet mignon.
What is this?
Oh my gosh! Quick story. We went and had these really good, delicious rump steaks at this youth game night thing we did. This guy who hosted us, his son comes to our group, and so he hosted us up at his house, and he grilled steaks for everybody. And this one kid left half a steak on his plate and brought, just threw it in with the dirty dishes, and I was like, oh my gosh, if that boy.
Did you bring up the topic of sin? Hey, let's talk about sin just a little bit here.
Dishonoring your elders and the cattle who gave their life for this delicious, juicy piece of steak. And they were good steaks. Oh my goodness, man! That's where you got to get out that's where you have to get out Judges. Yeah. Start reading the good book. All right. Well, have a good afternoon, morning, evening, and night.
Yes, all of that. I will do that.
Be your guide. Let your toes feel the dew on the mountainside. Fill your heart with all the good there is to perceive. Always let there believe. Let your mind grow strong on the sunbeams warm. Fill your lungs with the air of a summer's dawn. Run fast with the wind till there's no ground underneath. Always let there believe. When the autumn grey of a cloudy day and the wind clears your mind, no more thoughts left to stay. No more paradigm, just remembering the morning light. Oh, how foolish and naive. Always let there let the sunlight go over fields of snow. Let the stories resurrect from a long time ago. Remain in hope, for joy might overcome every grief. Always let there